Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. There are no words, guys, to adequately describe how much I have missed you all. Therefore, I'm not even going to try, and you will forgive me because that's what friends do. It's been at least 6 days or so, I think, since the previous cast. People wondering whether I'd fallen off the face of the planet or got run over by a bus. All of these reports are untrue and unfounded. I have, in fact, been house-sitting for relatives, and I've not been in a position to cast. And in fact, I've been suffering with a nasty chest infection, so if I cough and splutter my way through this one, I do apologise, but once again, I know you'll forgive me. Incidentally, later on this week, I'm still kind of busy, going to be darting in and out, so don't expect 100% attendance from me for the rest of the week. I will do my utmost to make it so, but it might not be possible. But anyway, that's enough of that. For today, at least, we have a game, and it's going to take place on Certis Majors, so hold on to your socks as the Quantum Gateways fire and the Metal Booties land planet side. The players are ready, you guys are ready, I'm sure as hell ready. Let's go planet side and see how they're going to get on. So Certis Major, of course, we're all very familiar with. We'll call this Team 1 up here at the top and this Team 2 down at the bottom. So running first for Team 1, it's the very respectable Koecher. He's going Aeon, rocking Mellow Yellow, opening first land. And secondly, over here on the right-hand side, his teammate Chevalier in Burgundy Red. He's going Seraphim, opening first and second land as well. So for Team 2, down at the bottom over here in, what is that? It's Baby Pink. It's Duris. He's going UEF, opening first land. And last but definitely never least, my good friend, Clan Tags Chosen, also going UEF. So Team 2 is an all UEF affair. And he's rocking the Regal Purple and also going first and second land. So we're not seeing any particularly early queued up air factories, not that I can see. It's going to be an all-land affair, sporting off the beginning of that one. We have got a single mech marine looking to do some damage coming out of Chosen's corner and heading off. Where's he going? Not towards these middle mass points, but he is going to the nook in between the two teammates there from Team 1, trying to assassinate some engineers that come to pick up those three mexes. And we also have another lab up top from Koecher, that flare. He's trundling off around the western edge of the map, and he's going to sit on the cliff edge here. And you might think that's a little bit strange. Well, it gets it out of the approach from any potential baddies coming up that way, and can allow it to lie in wait there for an engineer. But that mech marine doesn't get too much done at all. Runs past that land factory being built or scaled up on the cliff there from Chevalier's ACU. And of course alerts Chevalier to the presence of that mech marine, and a THAM coming into the picture there and knocks him out of commission. Lovely jubbly, all done very nice indeed. Another mech marine from Duris, hoping that a engineer is going to befoul his path, but he's instead going to run head on into an Aurora. It's going to make short work of that. Nicely done. Koecher's prevented from any naughty labs scaling back here for either of these guys. There is one Snoop stationed over here at the eastern edge of the map there for Chosen. That will be giving Team 2 some nice intel on this corner of the map. For any units coming this way, might potentially offer Chosen some kind of advantage. And it does seem as though Duris is heading for the middle. Of course, there is a tremendous amount of reclaim to get. He's got the Lobos in tow to take care of those Eruptors in the middle there. Outrange them nicely so he can get in amongst those buildings, destroy them, and hoover up all the mass. There is a ton of mass to grab there. You can see there's even a quantum gateway in the middle. So can be a awesome smash and grab. Of course, the problem with that is that Duris is funneling a lot of energy into going for the middle. He's left the door open up top, and an engineer bites the dust. And I think that Striker is not going to be long after. He does manage to pick up at least one Aurora. No, because reinforcing Lobo and Striker come into the mix and knock out that Aurora. So very nicely done indeed there. And luckily there are no more pursuing units. But Koecher is not going to go without a fight. He's not going to allow Duris free reign in the middle. He's also made his way into the middle there. They're both going after that flak turret. It gets knocked out of commission, but Duris manages to claim the mass. Now both these guys working on taking down that quantum gateway. There isn't a great deal of superiority in terms of units on the field here, but some nice work from these fervors back here. Takes down one of these strikers. And Koecher already hoovering up the mass before it gets finished up. And I'm loving these new explosions that have come into the picture. Apparently Brainfart tells me they've been directly lifted from SOPCOM 2. So finally the only decent parts of SOPCOM 2 making their way into FA. Always nice to see. Let's face it, it was only the graphics that we liked. It wasn't really anything else. And so the torrent of abuse ensues in the comments section, at least from the occasional SOPCOM 2 fan that befouls our path. One single solitary bomber there from Chevalier, just kind of stalking the middle ground there between Duris and Chosen. Doesn't last too long though. Lots and lots of interceptors out there from Chosen. Cleans that up without any real difficulty. And Chevalier actually on an upgrade with his ACU over here. Take a look and see how much power he's consuming. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably the gun upgrade on the commander. That will make him nice and dangerous on this side of the map. Chosen has the backpack, and being as it's this early on, just 7 minutes gone, I think we can safely suggest that that's going to be the engineering drone. Is that it wandering around? Yes, it is, the rover drone. So that'll give him some nice build capacity on that comm. Excuse me, there will be periodic coughs and splutters throughout this, but I will try to keep it down to a minimum as best I can. And for the moment, Chosen having some success. He's grabbing some of those mexes. That will give him a small boost to eco up against his mirror. You can see him sporting sort of 37 to 30, 29 mass there. And that shall be jumping again with the grab of these mexes. But Chevalier coming into the picture now, having finished that upgrade. Was it the cannon? It wasn't the engineering suite, so it's going to be the cannon. There it is, Chronotron accelerator, epic rate of fire, doubling the DPS on that commander. And for the moment, at least, he's focusing on Chosen, and he's got a fair few decent numbers of units in here as well. He's got Zuis in the mix, he's got FAMs, and he's actually got way more on the field in this portion of the map, I would say, than Chosen. Chevalier also having access to overcharge there, blasts away at small groups of Chosen's units, taking out 2 or 3 at a time. And now he senses Chosen is going to have to make a run for it. Chevalier is going to push, and Chosen's going to have to bring in some of his own units now. He's going to be throwing these away, but he will at least interrupt the pursuit there from Chevalier's ACU and buy him enough time to retreat. He was never going to win that. He was down to around 7,000 hit points there, but he's made it away to safety. He can get back here and erect some point defense. He should be safe for the moment, but that's a nice little land grab there from Chevalier. Good maneuver, and that's bagged 3 mass points at least from Chosen, and forced Chosen to give up a great deal of land. But that's a lot of stingers suddenly on the field. Chosen having made the transition to T2 air, sorry. And this could be really dangerous. Is there any flak in the mix at all for Chevalier? Duris and Koecher posturing through the middle and at the top, but neither gaining any real ground. And Team 1 has a few interceptors in the sky, mainly from Chevalier, but there's certainly more on Team 2's side. Chosen's been concentrating on it pretty heavily. Chevalier catching up with Chosen's ACU, but in come the stingers, and barring a miracle, I would like to suggest that Chevalier has overextended, and as his ACU starts to hemorrhage hit points, this could find him an early ejection from the game after just 10 minutes. In come the interceptors from Koecher, but he hasn't got enough of them to kill all those stingers before the interceptors there from Chosen finish them off, and Chevalier dropping down into the red. 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, boom! Down he goes. And Chevalier, having looked so strong in the first 10 minutes, forcing Chosen back, overextends, and gifts Team 2 a pretty significant victory in the field. And now it is a survival game for Koecher, losing his teammate. He's going to have to hold out against 2, and Koecher, of course, going to have to extend in a southeasterly manner as quickly as possible with his engineers. He's going to have to cover the approach. Chosen's going to be wanting to get in here and stop these engineers from reclaiming all of this and grabbing all the mexes. It's going to be a little bit of a tough ask, but we've seen it time and again, of course. One of the arguments against full share. Nice to see that it's not on. No fairies have to die today. But off Koecher goes, and moving the majority of the T1 land spam he had in this area out to the southeastern approach there. And interestingly, Chosen not deciding to cover that. He's in fact going up through the middle. Could provide a gap or an opening for him, but he hasn't got a lot of units on the field there, having pushed mainly into the T2 air quite early on and quite heavily, so he's light on spam. But however, Duris has made a nice transition to T2 land. Lots of mongoose up here at the northwesterly approach, using that range to pop those T1 units there from Koecher, and Parashield also arriving on the scene is going to afford him some pretty good protection for that group of units. And that's a nice little maneuver. Of course, the Stinger does have a grappling iron on it. He can pick up one unit and transport it over. Of course, not just any unit of a certain size, T1, T2, but little engineer drop there from Chosen was going after some of the mass reclaim in this area. And of course, that Stinger hanging around to pop engineers as best he can. Try to hamper the expansion as much as possible. Chosen now breaking through the middle with that T1 spam we saw earlier, and still Duris's T2 band up here at the top looking very comfortable indeed. And this is going to be tough for Koecher. He's got a lot of avenues to protect now, but he is pushing out. He's going through the southeastern approach there with at least one band of T1, and Chosen's comm is situated down here, and he's got the double drone upgrade there. A lot of build capacity on that commander. He's going to spam together some T1 PD as quickly as possible, and it might be a little bit of an error for Koecher to have stopped there, but definitely if there was any avenue for attack, any instance where he could get the upper hand down there, that has passed. That's now looking pretty secure, that choke point there for Chosen. And that Stinger having done some nice work. All 4 of those core mexes still unclaimed. There is one engineer here and a couple more down here. This little guy's doing his work, getting the reclaim on. But now Duris making his way into this second base here, second potential base for Team 1, with a group of strikers, and that will be the end of this merry band of units down here for Koecher, leaving him with very little map control at all left on the field after just 15 minutes. Koecher's made the transition to T2 land, and of course NG mod rules now in effect. This is the first game I've casted on 3626, I believe, and doing all the right things, mass upgrading those old redundant T1 factories to T2 at just a fraction of the cost of what they would have been back in the regular FA days. Makes for much more interesting gameplay, it really does. Koecher sitting on 41 mass, 38 mass per tick, Duris on 57, Chosen on 56. Definitely not looking great at the moment for Team 1. And a little airdrop coming in from Duris. That looks like mainly, if not all, engineers on board coming in for reclaim duty or potentially set up another base. Queued up land factories, all UEF, so That's definitely coming from Team 2. Chevalier still sticking around to watch the game, suggesting tactics to his teammate. Intel on his side is lacking, apparently. Koecher doing a little bit of the jazz walk, trying to avoid some of the fire from these pillars, from the mongoose in the area. But timely arrival from some blazes adds to his firepower on the street. But a nice wave of Janus coming in there from Chosen. T2 fighter bombers knocking Koecher down into the yellow. 9,600 HP on the comms. But swift winds in effect, so Koecher also having access to T2 air. Duris brings in his interceptors to try and thin those out. They definitely don't want to offer Koecher any avenue to get back in this by yielding something as simple as air control. But still the Janus harassment continues. Only one effective one left in the area. Koecher, though, down to 7,200 hit points. Needs to get those swift winds back in there to stop that harassment. But at the moment, Team 2 looking pretty content to just sit back, capitalize on their advantage, eco a little bit. Koecher catching up, though, in terms of eco himself, looking a little bit healthier on 47 mass per tick. And it was Chosen that was trying to spam these together with the rover drone, or the rover drones from the commander. Most of those factories being taken down there by these obsidians, but they're not hanging around, and that could be dangerous later on for Koecher. Doesn't want to allow a large base to get erected on that eastern edge of the map. Might be hard to detect before it's too late. And we've got some T3 land on the field there from Duris. He's sitting up here happy as Larry with a demolisher, firing away at range, bombarding that forward position there of Koecher's as that ACU wanders around looking for something to do that could possibly improve his situation in life. Currently not looking too good, if I do say so myself. But what's going on? Chosen has given everything over to Duris. His commander's on here. He's on an upgrade. That's not going to get the upgrade done particularly quickly. But yeah, 132 mass per tick going straight into Duris's pocket. I can only surmise that Koecher had to step away from the computer. And he says 1 minute, so that might have been from the pause, but I don't know. He says something else in foreign speak. Fortunately, worldly as I am, I do lack the ability to speak any other language than shoddy English. The strikers of Chosen's now in Duris' hands being put to some decent use, going after some of this redundant build capacity in this second base. In come the swift winds, though, making short work of those strikers, allowing just one engineer with starry eyes, he's seen some stuff, man, to survive. But yeah, it's interesting. Take a look if we could see what that upgrade actually is. £140 power. I have no idea. We'll have to come back to that. Epic comments, Gyle. Well done. Welcome back indeed. And now we're seeing a single Percival, Hero Percival, entering the fray up here at the top. Definitely finding it tough to contend with these obsidians and these blazes. He might snag one maybe unit if he's lucky. No, down he goes. Those obsidian shields proving too tough. Onward come a merry band of units that have been sitting pretty up here on the cliff edge. Now we can use these mongoose and their range harass this body of units, but didn't decide to stick around with the range enough. Demolisher's got himself caught. Blazes and Obsidians getting themselves in the mix, in amongst these units now, causing as much damage as they can. And despite the fact that, of course, none of this mass or eco is getting wasted, with Chosen not, I'm guessing, not being at the computer, it's definitely meant that Team 2 have eased off the pressure from Koecher. And in terms of map control, you're looking at 50% split or so. Certainly the economy is very much less developed for Koecher. But still, that's a dangerous thing. You don't want to let your opponent at this level get back on even terms of map control, even if he is down a player on his team. They can do horrible things with decent amounts of eco. And we're seeing some Spectres on the field as well there for Koecher, who's also made the transition to T3 land. Getting some TMD together. Wise move there. Koecher definitely doesn't want to get these core mexes sniped. It's the beating heart of his eco right now. Everything else in these outlying regions is still at T1. He's not currently upgrading them either. Definitely probably feeling a little bit insecure about his ability to hold on to these mexes. Mostly at T3 in the main base, if not completely at T3. And still Chosen sitting on an upgrade there. Now what's Koecher got on his ACU, I wonder? It looks like a rate of fire upgrade. There we go, enhanced quantum disruptor. A bit of sniper ACU going on. Nice overcharge, knocks down one of the Percys there on the edge of this band of units. And he's got a decent amount of harbs with him as well. It's quite a lot of damage that's available to him. Could definitely finish off this merry band of units if he can catch up to it. But deciding to push down here at the same time with a few Obsidians and some redundant T1. Those units getting taken out though without any difficulty. These band of strikers, and quite a lot of ASFs in the picture there from Duris. Where's that exactly coming from? I think that's coming from Chosen's base, Chosen's old base. Whether or not he's coming back, I don't know. Certainly one T3 air factory down there. It's got it split. Land production focusing up here on his base, and Chosen's handling all the air. But another large amount of build capacity about to get wiped off the face of the planet. Certainly did him a favor. I think that was the one from earlier that witnessed the atrocities. I think that manufactory's going down as well, though the swift winds turn up. Going after the Stingers first. I've been calling them strikers again over the course of this cast. Please bear with me, it's a mistake I make all the time. But overhead come some ambassadors, T3 strap bombers there from Duris, built from Koecher's air factory, taking down a T2 power plant. How, if anything, does that affect Koecher's power? Not at all. He's still sitting pretty, 500 net power, and he's working on a T3 anyway. So he can afford to lose that. Doesn't want to lose any more, that's for certain. And it looks like ambassadors are still the order of the day there from Chosen's main factory. And Chosen must have returned suddenly. That base and its control transferred back over to Chosen. And that upgrade will actually start to move now on that comm. Koecher actually out-ecoing duris. Now, of course, the collective between duris and chosen definitely representing more income for Team 2 as a whole. But as we know, so much of this game is about directed economy. And if Koecher can direct that eco more effectively than his opponents, he can still win this very easily. And considering Chosen's been away from the game for a while, best part of 5 or 10 minutes, will only serve to fragment the gameplay a little bit. But a nice bomb there from Ambassador, taking out a huge quantity of build capacity surrounding that T2 air factory, which is currently on an upgrade to T3 as well. Duris needs to get these ASFs off the ground and get them moving over here to protect that strap bomber. Down it goes, though. You could do with taking out those swift winds. It's the last real air combat element that Koecher has on the field. Nasty looking group of harbs, although all pretty much very badly damaged. I'm guessing that's from this hail of artillery fire coming in from these demolishers that keep jostling backwards and forwards. Constant micro battle going on there. In come the swift winds, though, to try and finish off those stingers. But they don't commit, and as such, those stingers free to move on over here and grab that T2 mass point. But in comes an ASF from Koecher, the first one on the field, so he has completed that transition to T3, and it was definitely necessary. Meanwhile, though, there's harbs strolling into heavy fire in the middle, and a complement of Percivals that are waiting for them. Ends that little expedition in tears. Once again, excuse me. Chosen on another upgrade. He has T3 and he has a tactical missile launcher, and I can only surmise that that is a Billy nuke that is on the way there for Chosen. So definitely a little bit of alternative tactics here. It's a good sized map, of course, for the Billy, 10k. And you think about the centralization of power for Team 1, or what's left of it, Koecher, it is literally this little corner here, so there's not TMD spread about the place. That means he's going to be able to effectively fire Billies as and where he pleases. One strap bomber out there for Koecher. Probably not going to make it home. He might do. No, there he goes. Koecher coming out of his base once again with his ACU. A little bit of a mass grab exercise. And let's see how these guys are actually doing on reclaim. 42k there for Koecher. Duris just 13. And Chosen 19, also having been away from the game for a long time. So Duris could have been doing a little bit better on the reclaim side of things, but don't forget he is short stacking on global ranking, so you wouldn't expect him to be topping the tables. Decent barrage of artillery fire coming in from these demolishers, but the problem is they've got an ACU on them. However, they have managed to draw that ACU close enough, and that Billy nuke signal is away. That means it's en route, and remember though, the radius is really small on the Billy nuke. It's very difficult to hit a moving target. He's not moving at the moment. Oh, that's definitely an outer ring collision, and absolutely minuscule amounts of damage the Billy nuke does on the outer ring. And if the unit database is to be believed, which it isn't always, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because not everything gets updated correctly. But the inner ring does 12k damage, the outer ring 250. And the inner ring is just 15 diameter. That's tiny. To give you an idea of how tiny a striker, and if I can find one, is 18. But a nice follow-up, hang on, from Chosen with a Janus run. You can see what he was doing there. Take the majority of the HP off the comm, and maybe one or two passes with a Janus might get him. But another Billy is away. Of course, that's the strong point of the TAC missile, is the fact that you can fire it so regularly. But as I was saying, the range on a striker is just 18, so the range of the inner ring explosion on that Billy nuke is even smaller than a striker's range. But this could be good. Boom, drops short though, I think, and Koecher has managed to throw together a GC, and the question is, have Team 2 seen that? Surely they will do now. They will be aware of it, and they will want to be spamming together defense as soon as possible. Duris, you're going to need Ravagers. And rightly so, that GC isn't hanging about to defend. Koecher's ACU is going to need to stay on the move anyway to keep dodging these Billies, so he can come out and finish off these units himself. He's got a certain amount of time to get that GC in play into a position where he can affect major critical damage on either Duris or Chosen's base before they can build sufficient defenses. And you can see the Ravagers being thrown together as quickly as possible there by Duris. The question is, does he have enough time? Another Billy nuke is away. And this looks pretty good. Koecher, whatever you do, don't stop. And he keeps walking. That's definitely going to be well outside the blast radius. And he's still well in the green. That outer ring explosion doing virtually nothing. And little TAC missile battery there as well from Chosen's, firing occasional blasts. See if I can find a striker. There's one. So if we see the range, that's the range of 18, and 15 is even smaller, so it's going to be about there. So the Billy nuke really is tiny, but that GC now reaching the outer edges of Duris's base. There are a few Ravagers in play, but Duris wants to be moving his commander out of there. He maybe was thinking that he had enough to deal with it, but I don't think he does. Takes a blast of death ray full on in the face. He's definitely not getting out of this, and Koecher, to his credit, eliminates one of the opponents. Duris transfers everything over to Chosen, but that won't last too long. Full share, of course, is off. And if I was Chosen right now, I would be thinking perhaps about just trying to knock out the base structures with the Billy nuke. It's the best hope he's got. If he can somehow take out some of these volcanoes with something, maybe a striker rush or something, or stinger rush even. There we go again. But he's moving his commander on a transport, and that was very dangerous indeed, because there's an ASF in the area, but he manages to make landfall okay. He knows he's got to take Koecher's commander down now. He obviously hasn't got anything that can deal with that GC, so his base is history. Even though there's only 15k HP left on that Colossus, he's got nothing to deal with it. So he's going after Koecher's ACU mano a mano. He's launched another one. Where on earth is Koecher's ACU in that, though? There it is, and again, still managing to avoid the blast radius. I think that's going to have impacted on the shield. Yes, it is, and you can see how woeful the damage is on that Billy. It only takes that shield down to half. And Koecher's actually building mercies. I love that play. Chosen already lost a third of his HP, down to 11k hit points now, and surely that's going to be him done for. GC having a field day now in Chosen's old base. if he can get in here and finish off this air factory, but I don't think he's going to. It's very optimistic, and there's now some T1 PD in there as well. More being planned right next to it. And Koecher actually brave enough to bring his ACU back into the fold as well. He starts building an eruptor, planning to give Chosen yet more headaches. But lots of mercies on the field, and that is going to be game, surely. He cannot repel firepower of that magnitude. In they come. Harbinger turns up just for good measure. Kaflooey! And down he goes. Very nice work indeed from Koecher. Well done. Survived long enough to get a decent eco together and then rolled his opponents. To be fair, I think that might have gone slightly differently if Chosen hadn't have had to leave the computer, but who's to judge? Either way, very impressive work. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. As always, more to come from me in the future. Can't guarantee it's going to be every day this week, but as always, if you're unsure and you want to know, check my Facebook page status updates for any breaks in programming. In the meantime, as always, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.